Good morning. It's Monday, January 3rd. And I wake up this morning and I'm preparing to do the rant. And I do my usual thing. I'm looking to see what's happening around the country or around the world. And what do I find out? It's gun violence again. U.S. shooting incidents rose prior to the new year. The end of the holiday season was filled with firearms incidents across the United States. So the people go out on New Year's Eve and they gather to have a good time. But somebody says something and the first thing you know, there's guns drawn and people are getting shot. During a New Year's Eve gathering at the Mall of America, 2 men were wounded after an argument between some shoppers. It escalated into what could have been a mass shooting. Imagine that. You're out shopping on New Year's Eve. You're in the Mall of America. There's hundreds of people around there doing their shopping. I've been to the Mall of America. It's a big place. It's a nice building. It's a big place. You're out shopping. Maybe you're getting gifts for people, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden a couple of people have an argument and guns are drawn and bing bang, people are dying. It's crazy. And in Baltimore, 2 more residents were killed and 3 wounded in a couple of separate incidents. It's crazy. Why? Let's bring in the new year. Now, they're trying to bring in the new year and we only had 15,000 people in Times Square. Imagine if the guns had gone off in Times Square. 15,000 people would have been running in every different direction. It's crazy. It's crazy. Why? Why can't we stop the shooting? Why must we have guns? We're not a well-regulated militia, you know. We're just a bunch of crazy people who love their guns. I never had a real gun. I had a BB gun, and I loved it, but I never graduated to a deadly weapon. And in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, homicide detectives were investigating 2 shooting deaths that appeared to be related in the early hours of New Year's Day. And in Chicago is the shooting capital of the country, you know. There are more shooting incidents in Chicago than any place else. In fact, the statistics that they released at the press conference, there were 800 homicides during the holiday season in Chicago. 800 homicides. That's like a small town. So in Chicago, a small town was murdered. And that's a 60% increase over the past 2 years. In Philadelphia, 14 people were shot over the weekend in Philadelphia. It's all over the country. Every part of this country that you look at, there's a shooting. Now, can I look at this thing and say that the gun violence is up because of the pandemic and people have nothing better to do than polish their guns and go out shooting people? I don't know. I don't believe that's true. But it's a sad statistic that we got thousands of people getting shot every year. You know, 30,000 people a year die from gun violence in the United States. And a lot of it is not mass shootings, you know. A lot of it is just, I got a gun and I'm going to commit suicide. You know? So guns are evil in my mind. And I don't know why people have to have a gun. This is a safe country, I think. But I'm sure that we have a lot of illegal activity going on in this country. You know, there's a lot of drugs coming into the country, so maybe that has something to do with it. But that doesn't seem to be the case in these mass shootings. Those are deranged individuals that are unhappy about something and they have a gun. So they go out and they shoot up the place. There's no excuse for this to continue to go on. There's no excuse for us to not be able to solve the gun problem. You know, we have states, 50 different states, 50 different sets of rules about guns. We have open carry states. where anybody can get a gun. They're not registered. There's no background checks. They walk in a store, they buy a gun. They get ammunition. Nobody knows what they're going to do with that gun. Nobody cares in some of those places. It's about time we did something about the guns. Why can't we come together and do something about guns? I mean, I can understand we can't come together and do things that would make the place safer, But when you look at it, when you look at all the laws that we have to make people safe when they're driving automobiles with seat belts and everything, and nobody complains about that, even though there are people who don't put their seatbelt on and strap themselves in. I'm sure there are plenty of people who do that because they're not going to worry. But guns, people up their guns, and you got the National Rifle Association that has a big lobby, and they give money to the politicians so that there's almost no chance of changing the gun laws in this country. And so we start the new year with probably, 200-300 people dying over the New Year's weekend, maybe. I don't know. I don't know why this has to keep happening. I can't understand it. But I guess if you have a gun and you know how to shoot it and you get angry, so you pull your gun. And look at the people who have been shot. We've seen kids go into churches and kill people. We've seen so many bad incidents of gun violence in this country, and yet we turn a blind eye to it. It's an unforgivable situation. It's mind-boggling. I can't even continue to think about how poorly we're running this country when we allow this gun violence to continue endlessly. I don't know if I'll ever see the end of gun violence in this country before I die. So, that's my rant for this morning. We have to put our guns away. Have to spend our time doing something better than shooting people. Problems don't get solved by killing people. Maybe it gets it off your chest, but it's not a good way to live. It's not good when you could be out shopping and end up in the middle of a shootout. So, as far as I'm concerned, 2022 has started badly, and we're still in the midst of the pandemic. And that'll be it for this morning. Have a great day. Bye.